Before this review starts, I want to let you guys know that I've started a new Facebook group, All Figures Go to Heaven. The point of this group is for people to share their pictures, their videos of their figures, any scale, licensed, KO, custom, 3D printed, doesn't matter. Not bashing any groups, but I feel like I just got personally tired of posts getting deleted because it was of an unlicensed figure or because you're self-promoting, when most of these groups are ran by big YouTubers, and that's fine, but I just wanted to make sure that there was a safe space for people to post when it comes to collecting. So links in the description. Hope you come join us. All right, everyone, welcome back for another really fun review. I've been excited about this figure for a little bit now. I saw it at my local comic book shop. When I say local, I mean Paris, about a 45-minute train ride, so not that bad going into the city. But the good thing about this shop is they have an amazing selection of figures, some that in America you really would not see for that long or haven't seen for that often. This guy right here definitely caught my eye. This is the Real Action Heroes Punisher from 2007, I believe. I don't know where it came from because I've been to the shop many times and it has not been in there until like the last month and a half, but whatever storage unit or wherever this came from, yeah, she's dusty. 2008 is the copyright on this, so pretty old. Definitely for 1/6. We'll open it up here just so you can see. Look at that. I've been working on a 1/6 comic shelf, I guess. I'm not really sure exactly where I want to take it, but I know the characters that I need to have. So I have the Sideshow Ghost Rider, the Hot Toys Spider-Man, the Hono Studios brown suit Wolverine, just kind of slowly building. Oh, I also have the exclusive Daredevil from Sideshow as well. So, putting together those characters that I feel like I would really want for that comic style stuff that's separate from, the live action movie TV figures. This guy, I'm super excited to check out stock. I have a planned custom idea for this guy. I ordered the Coup model BD001 base body and the Frank Castle Hot Toys head from the Punisher War Machine figure that they did a few years ago. Ever since they announced that figure, I kind of wanted it, but I was like, oh man, do you think they'll ever give us just a Punisher? And I mean, they haven't yet. Maybe in the Hono line they could, using the same material that they used for the Black Suit Spider-Man. That would be amazing. Watch, now I bought this figure from 2008, and then they're going to announce their own comic style Punisher. That would be my luck. But you know what? It's still cool. A lot of people have pretty negative things to say about Real Action Heroes. I did own the 501st Trooper for a few years or so, just because it was a cheap option at the time. And this was before the newest Hot Toys 501st Troopers came out. So I had one Sideshow and one Real Action Heroes. And I liked it for what it was for filling in. The pleather undersuit was just disintegrating, as we all know. But, it wasn't bad. But this guy here, he's got like the printing of the skull, but it's just fabric. I think the boots are rubber, but not a rubber that should, start to get all sticky and whatever. Like, this should be a guy that stands the test of time. I'm scared about the base body. I've heard terrible things. I'm going to be very careful. Even though I will be replacing it, this review is not of the custom I'm going to make it's of the figure as it was released in 2008. So this guy's brand new, hasn't been opened. Super excited. Let's get this started. I normally like to open my boxes from the bottom, just in case if you do accidentally damage it a little or something, it's on the bottom. So if you're displaying the box, I mean, I don't see myself displaying this box specifically, but it's always just a habit I've gotten into. There he is. While I'm opening this up, I think this is a good time to kind of go over everything, because you don't see people opening up brand new Real Action Heroes figures anymore, at least ones that are this old. And I mean, for this Punisher, as I was kind of researching and trying to put together my ideas for this custom, I really wasn't able to find a whole lot of anything. Not a single review, so unless I missed something, I'm the first person on YouTube to review this figure, which, you know, is always exciting for a small channel to get to do. And also just the figure's old, not being able to find like high quality pictures of it. So I'm excited to pose him up and get him in some shots too. But this is the stand that Real Action Heroes come with, and I kind of forgot about this, but it's just a clear base, a clear rod, and then two different styles of grips. Unfortunately, they're not like adjustable. They just are how they are. So you got to be careful, because you don't want to either break these putting it around the figure or damage the figure. And then they have these fasteners here that secure itself, you know, tightens to the rod. So just wanted to show this before I got them all stood up. Here we are, hitting air for the first time. So he comes with two pistols, a rifle with a scope. Focus here. There we are. I'll have to mess with it a little off camera, but I believe the scope is detachable, which is pretty cool. You can see here we got, for like the safety burst full auto, got printing on the rifle itself, which is pretty neat. Just kind of a matte black. Other than that, oh, the buttstock is adjustable. That's pretty cool. You got this kind of crappy elastic band, but you know, it's gonna do the job. Again, with it being a comic figure, you can fudge a little more. I don't believe anything else is movable on it though. Yeah, definitely, obviously don't want to break anything off. Let me just see. Oh, yeah, no, just like that. I think I do prefer no scope. It's just the type of weapon that I don't really see him using with a scope, but you know, you can do what you want. He also comes with 3 sets of hands, so just 2 relaxed hands, 2 fists, and 2 weapon holding hands. I mean, what more do you need? You know, pretty much all Frank Castle here really needs. I will say, I'm excited to get this guy stood up. He kind of gives me Bomb Voyage vibes from The Incredibles. I don't know. He's just kind of like his sneer and his slim physique. Part of the reason why I want to do the custom is I love the costume, but obviously the base body is what it is. The head sculpt is a little too cartoony, because I'm going for a comic shelf that look live action, you know, and that's what I think, you know, the Home Studio Wolverine and the Hot Toy Spider-Man just do really well. Let's get Frank himself. I mean, maybe I'm crapping him up. Well, I mean, look how skinny that head is, you know. The printing feels good. You know, it doesn't feel like it's gonna crack, so that's important. Trying to be very careful with the joints. Obviously, he's just been sitting in a box for a very long time. It looks like there's a clasp. Oh, yep. So that just can come right off. Which I mean, that's good. It's something we definitely would want. I might hit this with a little heat just to try to make it flatten out a little more. The belt is not the exact color of the skull, but just different materials. They probably got it as close as they could. I will say he does still hold some sort of presence without doubt. Scared moving these elbows. They are double jointed though. And yeah, it's just fabric. Like this costume would definitely hold the test of time. It's interesting how like I can feel in the sculpt of the base body, like the sculpt for this shoulder piece like swoops down over the bicep. Something I've never felt before in the sculpt. Is kind of interesting. Let's get him stood up so we can get a better full look at this guy. One thing that's already happened, barely touching it, the clasp is just a plastic hook, and I don't know what plastic it was made out of, but it's already snapped. It's hanging on by a thread of goodwill. Also, I see a lot of color rubbing on the boots, them being white and just being in this box. I'm not 100% sure how some of this color would be, but I'm hoping just like kind of scrubbing them with a paper towel and some dish soap kind of does the job. I mean, it is Frank Castle. He gets dirty, so it's not a huge thing. It's not something that is detrimental to the figure and can easily be fixed. But the clasps thing does kind of suck. If you've never owned a Real Action Heroes figure before, this is what the wrist joints look like. It is kind of interesting of a choice, they have that metal hole through it. You are able to turn it to get it to move whatever way you want, but obviously much more bulky, chunky than your standard Hot Toys style wrist peg. You can see the warping on this pistol. It's just one solid piece, one solid cast. So definitely we'll be replacing this with other 1/6 pistols that I have, but you can see we're getting a little curvy there. Yeah, both of them. Not something a little hot water wouldn't fix though. All right, so here he is just standing straight up. Hands simple enough to switch out. You gotta be careful because it is decently cheap plastic, I would say, and those pegs go pretty deep, so it'd be pretty easy to just accidentally snap one off in there. But I mean, you can't help but he looks pretty badass, I must say. He's gonna have his problems. This is early high-end 1/6 scale, so you're dealing with a lot of things that you would never be dealing with now. And this guy, figures are made to be loved, and this guy has been sitting in a box since it was manufactured, and because of that, you are going to have some issues of just plastic being plastic and rubber being rubber. The boots are not like liquefying or anything crazy like that at all, but just the rubbing should be able to get that cleaned up. But like I had said before, that back clasp, I'm gonna have to figure something out because it's acting like it's a goner. I'm hoping just like some really strong super glue would be able to just fix it, not have to worry about it if you're being careful, but we'll see what happens with that. So the head it's not bad, especially in a pose like this where he's looking down right below the brow. You, through and through, this is Frank Castle. He's still pretty skinny. That said, early Punisher is a lot skinnier than what I would say we know him as now. Like, even on the box, for instance, this is how he shows up on the box. Like, look at this thick bastard. But for what they're going for, I would definitely say this is accurate to Frank Castle. He's got double jointed elbows, so you can get him up in these poses with his pistols up like that. They're gonna look just as good. Bringing him down to his side. Yeah, unfortunately for the rest of the review, I'm gonna have to take the belt off because it's kind of a goner. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose that little clip. For the head articulation, he's able to go down pretty far, and up pretty far too. Obviously this cut looks a little weird on the neck, but he's got quite a bit of tilt too. This ball joint in here gives you a pretty wide range of motion, so you can get him looking, pretty cocky. There is a joint right at the top of the abs, and then there's a waist swivel, but no waist ball joint or anything. So your dynamic movement is just coming from up top, and then you're just swiveling at the waist. These are just a little tight from being new. They are double jointed. He's not kicking anything up here, but you should be able to still get him crouched down a little bit. The hips, I've not moved the hips yet. They seem, man, the last thing I want to do is break something. Just gotta be slow and careful. But let's see. The suit, being the material that it is, has a lot of give, which is really good. I mean, he's getting almost 90 degrees, which is pretty good. And in terms of forward, he's going above 90. So he's moving. You want to be careful with extending that butt stock because it's literally just two pieces of thin plastic on either side. So it's going to be pretty dang easy to snap off. So just be careful. Also, the natural position of the trigger finger is definitely a lot more inward to be suited for the pistols. So do be careful also putting this rifle into his hand because you got to extend that trigger finger quite a bit. Here he is here in a little more of a action stance. He's got the rifle up, pointing that pistol at you. As long as you're careful, he moves pretty good. The suit is going to move with you every which way. Obviously, these boots are not lending themselves well to articulation. So you're either playing the balancing game or obviously you have the stand. But just kind of wanted to get him standing up on his own first just to see if I even could. But, that's Frank Castle right there. Here's another pose I got. Just kind of have him standing in a neutral pose. He's about to change out the magazine on the submachine gun, Yeah. You just got to work with him. I think this is a figure that can really lend itself well to a comic book shelf. I think he definitely has a presence. And I think even that head sculpt really does work well in certain angles and poses. You just got to work with it a little. And I think even this head sculpt could probably be a lot more suitable if repainted. Not something I could do. That's definitely out of my area of expertise. But yeah, you look at it straight on, you're like, oh, wow. But, you hit it at certain angles. He looks pretty amazing. Standing straight up and down, he's at basically right 12 inches I'm not 100% sure once I kit bash him how tall he'll be, if he'll be taller. I'm assuming so, because real action heroes do tend to run fairly small, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And I'm sorry for all the hand cam stuff. Living in France, I don't have my normal setup, and it's kind of a pain to do a lot of this in a tight space while also getting everything in the shot that I want. So a lot easier to just hold on to it for now. Just to wrap up and give my final thoughts on this guy, he's old, and anytime you buy a figure this old, you're gonna run into some problems, especially, real action heroes. It's Medicom, there's some hit or misses, but I think this guy does what it needs to do. I'm ready to give him some TLC, and with this new body and head, breathe new life into this guy. I also definitely need to make sure to shout out Friendly Neighborhood Collector. I'm gonna put his video in the description below, because I'd already kind of thought of doing this, but I stumbled across his video when researching to find out that, to breathe new life into these figures are possible. His work with the Spider-Man, I think, just gives me a lot of confidence to go ahead and do that, and that's why I wanted to pick this guy up. But even standalone, yeah, the clip on the belt broke. That really sucks. I'm gonna fix it. As the guy is, I think he's pretty awesome. I spent about 140 on him, give or take. It was 130 euros. It's probably a little higher than that converting to USD, but I mean, I think it holds that value. If you're on the fence and you've been waiting for someone to review it, I hope this was a decent look at the guy, and maybe this makes you want to dip your toes into some of these older real action heroes figures. I've had my eye on the Spawn one for a while, but I'm pretty sure that suit is leather and not just fabric like this guy, so that one I'm a little scared to pull the trigger on. But this guy's pretty awesome. I like him. Can't wait to do a follow-up to this and show you guys what the final result is. So until next time.